launch a very brief, Catherine is going to launch a very brief poll. If you can take about a minute to complete the poll, that would be amazing to know who you are and what you do and where you're from. And it'd be great to have a sense of who our community is today. So just go ahead and do that if that's all right. Okay. Hopefully that's been enough time for people to complete that poll. And Catherine, you can see the results right on the screen. So that's exciting to have such a wide variety of people here and from so many different places. This is wonderful. We're really glad that you're all here today. Wanted to let you know that the question and answer period will be at the end of all of the presentations today. So if you have any questions that you would like to ask any of the presenters, just please pop them into the chat while you're listening to the presenters. And then at the end, we'll direct your questions to the appropriate speaker. And when everyone is wrapped up, then we'll have a chance to briefly discuss some of those questions. Okay. Before we begin, we want to acknowledge that First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples have been making and sharing music on these lands since time immemorial. On behalf of the SingWell Project, we acknowledge the privilege of living, working, and creating on their unceded territories. We honor their stewardship of this land and are deeply inspired by their ongoing legacy of creating community, connection, and healing through song. Thank you. So we're all here today because we're curious about how singing with others enhances our human experience. As a choral director of inclusive choirs for people across inclusive community choirs for people across their lifespan, I get to witness firsthand the transformative power of singing together. I see it in our practices and I see it in my interactions or the interactions between the singers, and I also see it in performances. To me, it almost feels like magic. But I know there's a lot more to it than that. And so I'm personally very fascinated by what research has to tell me as a practitioner about what could be happening for our singers biologically and socially and psychologically in those moments of connection and elation that I witness. I also want to know how singers experience that. And the SingWell group had the same questions. And we wondered if other people felt the same way. And that was essentially how the speaker series was born, out of a strong desire to create conversation and connection around group singing from three distinct perspectives: those who lead it, those who research it, and those who participate in it. So in today's inaugural conversation that you're all here to join us for, we'll be talking about the benefits of group singing for people living with Parkinson's disease. Our researcher today is Dr. Yoon, an associate professor of arts for health and well-being at the University of Derby in the UK. For the past 2 decades, she has been researching the benefits of group singing for people with long-term health conditions, including Parkinson's, stroke, chronic pain, and respiratory disease. It is our distinct pleasure to welcome Dr. Irons into this conversation today. And Yoon, I will let you take it from here.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. And can you hear me okay? Great. Yeah, okay. Catherine, could you start my slide, please? Yeah, okay. Thank you for your lovely introduction, Kathy. We worked before, so it feels a bit familiar to me. And I met Ala and Frank before, and so that's nice. I promise this. I will do a different presentation when we are in person, end of this month. Right. Catherine, can we start a short PowerPoint, please? So I'm a researcher and with particular interest in singing. So I'm going to talk about what we know. What does research say about singing for people living with Parkinson? I wanted. So I'm from University of Derby. It's Derby. So Derby is in the middle of England, a small city next to Nottingham and Manchester. So I think Nottingham is known for Robin Hood. Manchester is, oh yeah, that's my slide. Thank you. So you see the little dot in the middle of England where Derby is. When you take train from London, it takes about an hour and a half from London by train. So it's not far. And Derby is situated near the Peak District. And so on your right bottom, that's one of those lovely pictures from Peak District, which is the first national park in the UK. And now up there, it's a photo of Chatsworth House where quite a few films were made. For example, Pride and Prejudice was filmed there. So this is what you find near Derby. Next, please. Thank you. I mentioned I have a special interest in singing. Actually, it's my passion. I'm a trained singer and I'm a music therapist by trade. And I've been always very curious about the therapeutic power of singing, really. So my journey has been from South Korea, Germany, UK, Australia, Derby. So yeah, and this book was published in 21. It's a first one to translate research evidence in lay audience. So it is not a research academic book, but it's for choral leaders, choir conductors, singing leaders to apply some research evidence to their practice. So if you haven't got one, I can thoroughly recommend. And this book has, as I said, it summarizes the research evidence and practice of singing to apply for our health and well-being. So it talks about, other than Parkinson, all kinds of health conditions, including pelvic floor dysfunction. Just a sneak view. Okay, next, please. So today, I'm going to talk to you about Parkinson's and what does research say, and what have we learned and what can we do better in the future. So it's a very snapshot of what we know so far. Next, please. First, about Parkinson's. So in the UK and also in Australia, we do not call Parkinson's disease. People have said, those living with Parkinson's said they don't want to be called Parkinson's disease. It's a condition. So we call it just Parkinson. And as you may know, it's a second most common neurodegenerative condition after dementia. And aging society means that more older adults will get diagnosed with Parkinson's. I'm sorry, I haven't got statistics about Canada, but in the UK, about 3 in 1,000 people will get diagnosed with Parkinson's. It's a complex condition. It's known for shaking hands, but Parkinson affects from all kinds of movement. So from talking to sleeping, walking, all kinds of movement will get impaired, and the degree of disability will increase as the condition progresses. There is no known cure. Therefore, how to manage the symptoms is most important. Thank you. Next one, please. Okay, so I categorized what the research is saying about the benefits of singing for people with Parkinson's. To say there are sort of 5 categories, so 5 benefits. Actually, singing is so holistic. Singing is helpful from respiratory function to quality of life. So I'm gonna just touch upon these 5 elements today with you. Next, please. So first up, respiratory function. That's because we must imagine the opera singers, those classically trained singers. They use the full capacity of the lungs, the respiratory function, which include the muscles wrapping around the lungs and actually the whole body. Really, when you sing, your body is your instrument. So and applying those breathing technique, so researchers has been able to report that when you apply those breathing technique, that in people with Parkinson's, they improve respiratory muscle strength. That means that it's measured by maximum inspiratory and expiratory pressure. It's one of those lung function tests that's available. I quote there 2 papers. I assume you will receive my presentation and you can read it later. But it's the key is really you've got to apply that breathing technique that is practiced in classical singing to have this benefit. If you're just singing here, not using your full lung capacity, then I don't think you will see the benefits really. So, okay, next, please. So number 2, we're going to look at now speech and communication benefits, which is your focus here with SingWell. Next, please. Well, there are many assessments that researchers do to establish whether there is speech and communication improvement or not. Often, singing papers have measured vocal loudness and pitch range and speech intelligibility. So people with Parkinson, as the condition progresses, their voice changes. Their voice will get quieter without them realizing it. They think you are getting deaf. But so their voice gets quieter and their pitch So their speech will become monotone. In our speech, there are ups and downs, right? And that helps us to understand your speech. But with Parkinson's, that melodic ups and downs will diminish and your speech will become monotonic. Therefore, it will be difficult, harder to understand them. And the speech intelligibility test is a quite complex test to assess one's speech with Parkinson's. Okay, next one. There are lots of currently we have in my latest paper we have assessed 20 papers, 20 singing papers measuring different types of speech and communication benefits, and I'm just mentioning few studies here. But the majority of studies have measured the vocal loudness, which is a very important issue for people with Parkinson's. As I mentioned, their voice will get quieter. So when you sing, naturally, your voice gets louder because you are projecting, because you are singing out, you are expressing, and that makes you to use your louder voice. And because singing and speech use same mechanism, these papers were able to establish that through singing exercise, one's voice got louder. So, which is a quite good benefit for people with Parkinson's. Next, please. So now we're going to look at the number 3 element, which is mobility and motor function. Next, please. Personally, I like this paper very much. It's coming from the state. This research team, they have published a number of papers about gait in Parkinson's, all about walking. So the motoric function in Parkinson's. Now, in this experiment, they asked so they had two groups to compare: people with Parkinson's and people with healthy controls, no Parkinson's. And internal cue, meaning people were asked to think of a song in their mind. They weren't singing out loud, but they were just thinking about a song in their mind. In fact, the song was Row, Row, Row Your Boat. Yeah. And while they're doing that, people with Parkinson's were able to demonstrate much better walking ability. So there are lots of other measures around walking as well. Their stride, their speed of stride, whether they so they're different. It's complex, another complex area of Parkinson's assessment. But what it shows is the next one, please. Next slide. This is due to our musical brain. So it's amazing that music can stimulate multiple parts of the brain function at the same time. And because of this, people with Parkinson benefit from just having music, the rhythm that helps them walk better. Right, which is a very interesting area of our research too. Next, please. So I've talked now, number 1, respiratory benefit, number 2, speech and communication benefit, 3, walking, motoric function. Now we're going to talk about 4 and 5. Next, please. This is my favorite paper so far. Sorry. So, sorry, I'm just recovering from a cold. So, I was very fortunate to lead this international study where we looked at mental health and quality of life in people with Parkinson's. Over 100 people did our project from 3 different countries, so Australia, the UK, and South Korea. Now, they were engaged in every week singing program for 6 months. And the end of the 6 months, we assessed, before and at the end, we assessed their mental health and quality of life. And fortunately, we were able to show that quality of life have improved, in particular, something called stigma. So stigma is, feeling stigmatized because of having Parkinson, as you can well imagine. Okay, so stigma was reduced after singing. Social support, of course, increased. And in terms of mental health, we found that there was our singers demonstrated reduced levels of stress and anxiety. Next one, please. So quickly, there are a few things I like to mention in terms of research strength and limitations. So we're seeing more of multidisciplinary collaborations and approaches, which means that music therapists working with speech therapists together doing singing research, which is wonderful. And so I believe a speech therapist's input is very important in terms of our research. Now, and also, unfortunately, most of evidence we have right now is relying on small scale of study. So we need basically more robust data to say more strongly that, to say with more confidence, really, singing works for people with Parkinson's. Next one, please. Just want to quickly to introduce to you some UK activity in terms of singing and Parkinson's. This is a charity that I support, Sing to Beat Parkinson's. As it happened, we are having a online training sessions in November. You're welcome to join us. So all information can be found on their website. Next, please. This is another initiative I support. I've been consulting Scotland's Singing for Health Network. On their website, you will find my podcast. And this summer, we made also new videos about in terms of the research and Parkinson and singing. So you will find that on their website as well. Next, please. I'd like to invite you to join my campaign called Song a Day. Hashtag Song a Day. So there's a saying called an apple a day keeps the doctor away. I'm saying song a day keeps the doctor away. So join me the campaign. And songcommunity.com is my own website. It's to support the singing practitioners community. So this is not only just for Parkinson's, it's for all singing practitioners working for mental health, for anything else too. Okay, next, please. Oh, that's the end of my PowerPoint. Okay, sorry. Thank you for listening to me. And I'm sorry I had to rush a bit, but thank you.
Thank you so much, Yoon. That was really interesting to listen to. I've had the opportunity to work with Yoon, and I can tell you she is one of the kindest, most collaborative and supportive researchers I've encountered. I also had a chance to do the Sing to Beat Parkinson's training last year. And if you're thinking about it, I highly recommend it. It was just really an excellent experience for me as a singing practitioner, singing lead, you know what I'm trying to say. All right. Thank you so much, Yoon. And please, if you have questions, feel free now to put them into the chat. And our Catherine will organize them, and then we will redirect those questions at the end. And we wish we could hear you longer, but I believe you'll be at the symposium in November 1st. That's amazing. Yes. There's a SingWell symposium at we'll maybe put that in our newsletter or some follow-up email to you as well. Thank you again. Heitha Forsyth is today's practitioner. Heitha is a vocalist, teacher, choral director, and music therapist specializing in neurological techniques. She's also the executive director of the Manitoba Conservatory of Music and Arts in Winnipeg. She's busy. Heitha led the first therapeutic choir in Winnipeg for people living with Parkinson's. More recently, she's been working with U-Turn Parkinson's in Winnipeg to create U-Tunes, a group incorporating breathwork, singing, musical, and physical activities to promote overall wellness for people living with Parkinson's. We're so pleased to welcome you to this space today to share your perspectives, Heitha. And you can take it away.
Thank you. Thank you, Kathy. Hi, everyone. I hope you're doing well today. I'm very excited to be here today to talk about some of the practical aspects of what I have been doing, working with folks living with Parkinson's and the use of music and singing. And I think if you're here, you probably understand that music really is, as Yoon mentioned, almost like a magic, or was it you, Kathy? I'm not sure. It's almost like magic. Yeah. So it is like a magic, a piece of magic to have. And so I'm honored to be here to talk about some of my practical approaches and then share them with you. And I'm really excited to see that there are a lot of folks here who are also doing this kind of work. And I hope that some of the things that I have to say today are helpful for you. So just let me get my presentation going here and then we'll run with it. Oh, okay, so U-Tunes. This is the group that I worked with Tim Hague, who is here. He'll be speaking next over at U-Turn Parkinson's. And this is my practical tips for the use of group singing to aid those living with Parkinson's. So what is U-Tunes? U-Tunes is a music therapist designed, just going to get rid of something here, class offered by U-Turn Parkinson's, which is a wellness center with a mission to empower people living with PD in their pursuit of wellness. So if you're interested to know more about them, you can head to uturnpd.org. And as you can see, here's a picture of me and a group of folks that I worked with. This is a few years old now, but it was always a great time. Sorry. Oh. Okay, now I think I've got my up and downs figured out. So what is U-Tunes? U-Tunes incorporates breathwork, vocal warm-up, and singing and music group activities to promote overall wellness. The powerful and motivating fun effects of music help sustain neurological processes such as coordination, movement, and rhythm. In addition, the program supports the strengthening and maintenance of the voice and swallowing ability. So sessions are offered 2 times per week for 1 hour. At this time, we do one in person and one online via Zoom. And so those look a little bit different. And so I'll get more into that in later. So what does a U-Tune session look like? So all U-Tune sessions have 5 main components, all led by the facilitator. 1, we do a physical warm-up and stretch. 2, a vocal warm-up. 3, a combination of movement and singing vocal work. So kind of a combination of points 1 and 2. We take a quick break and then we get into active group singing together. So going into this with a little more detail, our physical warm-up and stretch lasts about 10 minutes. And we do a seated full body stretch and physical warm-up focusing on both fine and gross motor movements from head to toe with modifications offered as necessary. So this is everything from stretching the jaw and the tongue and the shoulders and the neck and all the way down to the tips of the toes. And often we'll see people will have limited mobility. So those modifications and understanding how to do that, talking to a physiotherapist or doing some research on what you can be doing for that is really helpful with those exercises. Examples of this physical warm-up and stretch might be movement to recorded music, including group instrument play or activities, following along with the facilitator. So for example, I often use sticks, kind of drumsticks. Everybody gets some sticks and we work on tapping the sticks and big movements, stretching the arms. And I have a regime that we do each time. And sometimes I change it around or I add more challenging bits. It just depends on the day and how everyone is doing. The next would be something like guided relaxation and stretching, including breath management and guidance. So I will, again, put on maybe some recorded music and guide everyone talking through a stretching regime. I will focus on the breath, and I will start to incorporate the appropriate use of breath within the stretching warm-up. And then by the end, I will incorporate some vocalization such as chanting or encouragement of chit chat with myself or the other participants, just simply to kind of keep things light and to have us create that aspect of a group or a team together. So here is an example, picture I stole. Tim, I went on the website and I stole this. But this is an example of some of the folks doing the guided movement and stretch with me physical warm-up at Yoon's a couple of years ago. The next we do a vocal warm-up, and that's another approximately 10 minutes guided singing of standard group vocal warm-up type activities with myself or the facilitator, including breathing exercises, lip buzzes, vowel shapes and facial manipulation exercises, tongue twisters, range building exercises, ear training, vocal stamina, and projection work. So each week I have kind of my go-to that I work with, and then I sort of try to track week to week how range, like if we're working on range building or stamina, you know, are they able to sustain a pitch longer this week, or am I working on that with them specifically? And I do add variety with the warm-ups because I think that it is something that keeps everybody on their toes, and it's a lot of fun. And then 3, we do a combination of movement and singing, which is approximately 5 or 10 minutes, and it's guided by the facilitator, and participants follow along with movement and singing activities that combine the use of the voice or singing and coordinated movements. So examples would be a chant with guided movements or a dance, like for example, we have a Yoon's chant that I wrote that incorporates specific kind of movements along with the chant, or you can write your own as a group. This is, again, using bigger movements, everything from, you know, marching on the spot to, you know, moving your arms around, forward, backwards, side to side, cross body, just a challenge and working on that coordination of movement and singing or using your voice. I went in there again, seated marching or tapping or instrument play to a beat along with singing in 4/4 or 3/4 meter. For example, my Bonnie, or when the Saints go marching in, I apply specific movements. So for example, with my Bonnie, I might do left foot, right foot, lap clap. I'm not sure if you can see me because I can't see my video, but it would be my Bonnie lies over the ocean, right? So I'm adding these elements of entrainment to what they're doing in order to challenge them and incorporate these two things together. And finally, as I said, I focus on both small and large movements and challenge them with the use of tempo changes or successive addition of movements, such as different combinations, cross body work, or other ideas as they get more comfortable and engaged. So over time, over 6 weeks, you know, they might start with a very simple pattern, and I might add successively difficulty to that as the weeks go by. And it's really fun to see how they are able to get better at those things. There's a picture of me leading some of that stuff. So again, that's me sitting in front of the group, facilitating in the chair. We take a break. Now we take the break for 5 or 10 minutes. This is an integral aspect of the session. It is an opportunity for the participants to visit with each other, catch up. I think this element of that psychosocial, the psychosocial elements is just really important and a huge piece of why we do something like Yoon's. We allow the participants to use the facilities. They get to have a chance to drink some water or have a snack. Something that's very important for people living with Parkinson's, depending on the time of day, is allowing them to have a break to take medications. It's very important that they take their medications on time. And often in my group, we're kind of over the cusp of when medications are due. So we have to give them an opportunity to take those meds. And it allows me or the facilitator to set up for the next part of the session. So the next part of the session is group singing, and it's kind of the bulk. It's the remaining 20 to 30 minutes, and it's guided group sing-along to known songs accompanied by the facilitator or an accompanist or recorded music. As a performer and a music therapist, I am the one to accompany the group myself, and I will use my guitar. I also have used the piano. I typically use the guitar and walk around the group as we're singing. This allows me to connect with people, come up and kind of get them engaged and check in on folks. So one big thing is I use a projector or screen to display the lyrics. This is, of course, for the environmentalists. This is great because we don't use paper, but also folks with Parkinson's may have difficulty holding pages, and it may be a distraction. And we talk about stigma and those things. It might be something that they have a difficult time dealing with in the moment. So using a projector or a screen to display the lyrics is paramount. We incorporate shapes, highlighting, bold, and italics with the lyrics to incorporate different cognitive challenges such as movements, volume, sides of the room, or other ideas like harmonies. So I have examples of this to follow, and so I can show you what I mean. We use known songs that can be chosen based on themes, decades, styles, and other motivating music appropriate to their age group. So you can focus on a specific few songs for several weeks or keep them on their toes with variety. You can poll the participants and ask them for song suggestions. Now, this is really helpful when you're using lyric-based music or, just the lyrics. We don't read music in uTunes. It is not accessible for everyone who is in the group. Another idea that we do is we incorporate a stamina day 1 time per month. So we do a truncated version of steps 1 to 4, and then challenge the group to a sing-along that lasts up to 45 minutes for a stamina challenge. So this is really great, and it's a lot of fun, and we get to incorporate all the music that we've been working on over the weeks. So that is the gist of it, but I have some considerations that I wanted to point out for you folks. Now, seated versus standing, U-turn participants are assessed for fall risk and other factors prior to starting classes, and U-turn offers many different classes such as boxing and yoga, but U-tunes is meant to be an easy and quick entry point, so participants remain seated for the entire class. There is not always additional support for balance, and so it's not a good idea for participants to be standing. So this is just a catch-all. If there is a person who has the ability, they are certainly welcome to stand, but as a single facilitator often in front of the group, it is one of those things where we can get a good workout, we can get a good session in, but seated is the preference, and that is on purpose so that it is an entry point for everyone. We also incorporate spouses and care partners, and they're encouraged and welcome to join because it's an opportunity for meaningful engagement and healthy activity for all, and it's important when it comes to someone who is living with a chronic illness. Another consideration is chairs without arms. So chairs with arms are restrictive of movements and body types. So when at all possible, incorporate the use of armless chairs. This is because I really mean it when I say we do big movements. We're moving our legs over and back and arms up and down. And if you have arms on your chair, it really is counterproductive to that use of your body. And then the projector quality and font size. So consider the size of the font. We use 38 point or higher. I break the songs into sections per page so that you can toggle to the next page without interrupting a phrase wherever possible, caveat. Often a volunteer or a spouse or partner or even a participant themselves will help to change the pages for me. So if you look in, I'll just quickly toggle us back at one point. You notice that picture that I showed earlier. I should have put it in here. I apologize, but you'll see that there is a projector screen in the middle of the group. Let me just get back there and I can show you. You can see, I'll give you a little bit more of an idea. Sorry, bear with me. I'm gonna just do this. This is way faster. All right, so everybody can see here. Oh, that's the wrong one. This one. So everybody can see here in the middle of this picture, there's a table with the projector and the chair. Folks are seated in chairs without arms, and I'm actually, I believe I'm the one that's moving us through the projector here. So I'm standing there playing guitar, and I just reach down and I click to the next slide, essentially. So let me just take us back to where we were. I believe, yes, here we are. Okay. So I'm going to keep it here because I don't know how to get back to full screen, and I want to keep an eye on the time. So again, we're talking about projector quality and font size. We don't read music, as I said, we sing along to the lyrics. And this is, again, so that it is accessible for everyone. Not everybody reads music or is comfortable, and so that would be a really great thing to work on, especially cognitively. You could use music and the learning of music to work on cognitive ability. But we have an hour, and there's just it is one of those things where we want to get to work, and that is the point of UTunes, is we're getting to work, working on our voices and our bodies. Another consideration: if a concept you're trying to incorporate is too difficult, you can adapt in the moment and pull back as many steps as necessary to ensure you are allowing for positive engagement. Excuse me. So what that means is, if you're trying to incorporate, as I said with my body, left, right, slap, left, right, slap, and people are having a hard time with that, break it down. Just start, my body lies over the ocean, right? So you can pull it back and then successively make it more engaging and more difficult as you go. Manage your expectations for musical outcomes, ability, and performances. In the case of UTunes, some people may have experience singing and be very comfortable with the above, while others are there purely to work on their voices so that they can speak more clearly or mitigate swallowing issues. So UTunes uses a sing-along format so that everyone can participate, no matter their ability. So assess and poll your groups and apply these concepts accordingly. If a concept you're trying to, I said that already, so I think yes. So pull back as many steps as necessary to ensure you're allowing for positive engagement. Finally, online sessions versus in-person. Of course, in-person is best for all of the social emotional aspects. However, online maintenance is also a powerful tool for those with mobility or transportation limitations. So if you don't have the technology to sing together online without sound issues, and I know that Arla and Frank, for example, were working on a specific software that was supposed to help with that, so I'm sure they'd have more to say. But you can mute your participants and invite them to sing along with you anyway. So other things to consider: make sure when you're leading physical warm-ups that the participants can see your whole body when following along to steps 1 and 3. And share your screen and toggle through the lyrics the same as you would for in-person sessions. So here we are, same idea as this presentation. Finally, have fun, enjoy. We're there to help them live their best with Parkinson's in this case, and so making it fun for everyone is really the ultimate goal. And it is truly a pleasure to see people in this place of working together to live well with their Parkinson's. So as I said I would have some examples of what I'm talking about when it comes to the music. So here I have an example of what I would put on the projector. This is Dust in the Wind. This is pretty straightforward. There's no obvious changes to the lyrics. It's just blank. But you'll see this next one, I have highlighted different sections, right? So before we start the song, I will show them that we have some of these colors. We will decide what each color means. In this case, we might have green be the left side of the room, yellow might be the right side of the room, blue might mean men, purple might mean women. We change it up. This is an important aspect of getting them in the moment to use. It's a cognitive exercise, so it really is beneficial, and it kind of keeps them on their toes, and it's a lot of fun. So you can see as we move on through the song and lyrics, I have these highlights. So this is just a very simple example. Next, I have I saw her standing there. There's a symbol there. The symbol we will practice before we start. The symbol means that we're going to tap our hands on our laps on 2 and 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Well, she was just 17. Well, you know what I mean, right? So we work on that, and when they see that cross or that plus sign, they're knowing that they're tapping on 2 and 4. And then as we get on with the song, we move on to a lightning. So I'll just finish up. She wouldn't dance with another. She wouldn't dance with another. Ooh, when I saw her standing there. And here we are with a lightning. The lightning means 4 on the floor. Well, my heart went boom when I crossed that room, right? So these are all exercises that we can do to incorporate cognitive work, singing along to know songs, and having a good time and challenging each other. And even the mistakes are a lot of fun. So that's everything I have here for you today. I'm going to just stop sharing. I believe I did that. And I hope there are some great questions, and I look forward to hearing some of your, those who are facilitating, I look forward to hearing some of your ideas and adaptations.
Thank you so much, Heitha. That was so interesting and very informative, not just for those who are practitioners, but also perspectives for our researchers and our participants as well, as to how things can be run to support optimal health and well-being in those sessions. Preparing for this, I read an article that was published by the CBC in 2020 that featured Heitha and Utunes. And at the end of the article, it said 95% of the people kept coming back because of the facilitator. And you can see why. And it's such a, what you've done is really create an honoring of what it is that practitioners do to create health and well-being and engagement and connection for our participants. So thank you very much for that. And speaking of participants, now we're going to talk to Tim Hague. Tim is the founder and chair of U-Turn Parkinson's that Heitha has referred to. U-Turn Parkinson's is a condition-specific, holistic, free-of-charge center with a heartbeat for exercise, and it's located in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Tim is a retired nurse who was diagnosed with Parkinson's in 2011 at the young age of 46. He's a tireless advocate for Parkinson's, and among other amazing accomplishments, was the winner of season 1 of the Amazing Race Canada. He's also a member of the Utunes group, and we're really happy to welcome Tim to share his group singing experience with us today. Welcome, Tim, to this space.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you for that very nice introduction. And hello, Heitha. Good to see you. When you coming back, you can see why we loved her. She's absolutely fantastic and helped us launch what has been a very successful program for us. And so good to see you again. Good to hear from you. And yeah, hope you're doing well. So yes, we believe that exercise is medicine, and that's an important part of everything that we do at U-Turn. Started U-Turn Parkinson's 8 years ago, 8.5 years ago, something like that. And we've grown to about 125 people a month that we see every month. And it's fantastic. We're thrilled with how our classes are making a difference in the lives of people here in Manitoba and across the country, where we have a number of online classes as well. And we see folks from all across the country accessing our programs. And Utunes is one of the classes that we have online. And that has been very, very positive for us. So yeah, I'm very pleased to be here with you today to be able to discuss the care of our voices. I'm only here due to the magic of modern medicine, I have to tell you. If it were not for levodopa and my deep brain stimulation, if you don't know what that is, I've had 2 wires put down to the center of my head, and I've got a little battery pack here that gives me, that stimulates my brain. And without that, I would probably be at best wheelchair bound, and if not, possibly bed bound, because I'm not pretty when you turn things off. It gets pretty gruesome. So I'm thrilled to be here because of those things. But I'm very happy to talk about our voices because you might notice I stutter from time to time and my voice isn't as clear as it should be. And that's predominantly now due to my deep brain stimulation. And that has affected my voice quite considerably to me because I can feel quite the difference. It feels like something's just sitting on my vocal cords. But it continues to get better. I can manage it better through singing, through when I'm regularly attending U-Tunes. And it just makes a huge difference. Okay. So we began U-Tunes back in 2019. Heitha came along to me by a couple of gentlemen who were attending our other classes, and they said, "Tim, we've met this lady that you have to meet. And she's absolutely fantastic. You have to meet her. She's a great entertainer, singer, songwriter, and she would be great for U-Tunes or for this music program." And I'm like, I hadn't thought about music. I didn't know much about music. Well, I'm not certainly not a singer. And so I was like, yeah, I don't know. But Gary and Ken just kept bugging me, kept bugging me, kept bugging me. And finally I relented to go see her and hear about her. And it was one of the best decisions that we made because she's just absolutely fantastic for our program. We've learned along the way lots of lessons, some of them being that number one, singing does help our voices, but most of us are resistant to joining this kind of class because we're embarrassed about our singing ability. I'm not a singer. I don't seek out opportunities to sing in public. I don't seek out opportunities to sing with other people. I just don't. It's not who I am. I'm a speaker, that's one thing, but I'm not a singer. And so we've had lots of resistance to people coming until we started marketing it and being very specific in what we wanted to do with the class. And as Heitha mentioned, this is a voice strengthening class. We work at strengthening our muscles and our voice. And when we focus on that, and when we focus on the fact that we're coming together to make a joyful noise, not become a choir, then people get it. They're like, oh, okay. This is no different than going to one of our fitness classes. This is no different than going to one of our boxing classes. This is no different than going to Tai Chi or dancing. We're here to strengthen a part of our body. And this specifically focuses on strengthening our voices. And when people get that, when they hear that message, then it's an easy transition for them. Because it's like, well, I'm not very strong physically because I've not gone to the gym all my life. So, I have to slow down, take my time, and work up what I can do in the gym. And it's no difference in U-Tunes. I've got to slow down, be patient with myself, and give myself permission to come along in this new workout that I'm doing. Only this workout is for my voice, and it makes a huge difference for folks. Yeah. We've really stayed away from the word choir. We found that really, for our group, it just doesn't work. It's been very important to emphasize that this is another strengthening class rather than a choir. The instructor has to be the right kind of person. This is so very critical. You can't, they need to not only be musically inclined and gifted, they need to be able to entertain and engage the class. And Heitha is a great example here. How many people do you know who would just start singing on a Zoom call? Anybody else want to chime in for us and sing us a tune? But that's Heitha. She is bold. She is one of the most comfortable in her own skin kind of people I've ever met, and she can entertain and hold a room of any size. So it's absolutely fantastic. And when she would grab her guitar and walk around the room and engage everyone and pull you into the singing. It was not hard to get involved with Heitha there. But so they need to be the right kind of person who can do that kind of thing. They must be able to bring people out of their shells, out of the embarrassment that they may be feeling from being there, and into a place where they're willing to sing and engage. When you have all those pieces put together, we found a very deep community is formed. People love U-Tunes. They love getting involved. They love the singing. You will have those who, have lots of experience singing, and they will help bring the rest of the class along. And we've heard individuals report that they have less difficulty producing the volume that they need. They have less difficulty forming their words, and they're asked less frequently to repeat themselves. And that's a huge win for those of us living with this disease, because we are forever being asked to repeat ourselves, and it just drives you crazy. But when I'm singing regularly, when I'm taking care of my voice regularly, I notice a significant difference in how I'm speaking and how the work that goes into speaking. We see this as another workout in our week. That's the way we approach U-turns. It's helped ease people into our other programs. Most people that we see haven't exercised ever before, so U-turns has proven to be a very easy entry into U-turn. And this is the one thing I hate about the program, all the cognitive stuff that she does. It makes me crazy. And you know that it's the right thing to do if I'm complaining about it. But
Well, Tim, thank you so much for your perspectives. I mean, it's
you're
just,
welcome.
I think it's just, it's what you've done here is you've helped us to wrap up with the lived experience of the people who are participating in these groups and the relationship between the facilitator and the participants. And I'm seeing in the chat that there's a lot for researchers to explore in that relationship too. I also think it's really important that you helped us, because one of the barriers to singing as a therapeutic intervention is that people don't feel there's a barrier with the word choir. And I know that that's an ongoing conversation that lots of singing leading practitioners have had, that Choral Canada is having with its membership, and something we talk a lot about at SingWell, because reducing those barriers to participation is increasing people's chances for healing and creating that wellness that you so powerfully advocate for. So I thank you for your time today and sharing your experience very much. And I'm very sorry to tell you all that this hour has zipped by. And we do need to be wrapping up in respect for everyone's time to carry on with your day and your evening. However, what we will do is, because we do have some really thoughtful questions, what we will do is we'll gather those questions, we'll send them to our presenters for answers, and then we will send you a follow-up email with that information in it. Just a couple of other things before we do wrap up, because when we do follow up with you, we're going to be inviting you to do a couple of other things, if that's okay, if you so choose. We will be sending a request for information to singing leaders because we want to know what you're doing. It's, just listening to Heitha talk, there's so much insight for SingWell to hear what singing leaders are doing, and we really appreciate those insights. So we'll connect with you, but we'll also be sending a couple of invitations to participate in our ongoing research. One is a survey for people living with Parkinson's. They don't have to be singing in a group or participating, but SingWell is looking to engage them, those individuals who are interested in a survey to collect data and insights. And we're also going to put out a request for engagement in a focus group related to the development of our accreditation and program and best practices guide. So watch for all of that. And then our next conversation is on November 17th. The topic will be group singing and lung health. Doctors Gunter Kreutz and Louise Drouin will be our speakers, along with a participant from a lung health singing group, and we really would love for you to join us. Thank you all so much for giving us an hour and a bit of your time. Thank you so much, Yoon and Heitha and Tim, for offering these really unique perspectives, but in a setting where we can start to see the connections. And I know for myself as a practitioner, it's been a very powerful way to spend this hour, and I'm sure each of us coming from our own perspectives, I hope that you felt the same way. If you have any questions, please contact us at singwell@torontomu.ca. We genuinely hope that we see you next month, or any of the following months that our series will be on, we'll be addressing other communications challenges, and we'll also be finishing our series with a great conversation about social bonding and group singing. So thank you again for your time. Thank you, Arla and Frank, for being here. Thank you, Catherine, for all of the IT support. And it looks like Arla would like to say a thing.
Oh, I think you covered everything, Kathy. This was really wonderful. Thank you so much for the hard work. And to all of our speakers, thank you all, and everyone who came. Hopefully we'll see you next time in a month.
Yeah, the comments, Tim, your firsthand experience, Heitha, your wealth of experience doing this, it was all fabulous. And Yoon, thank you for the nice translation of the research. It was wonderful. Thanks again, Kathy, for hosting. You did a
My
great job.
pleasure. Thank you. Have a wonderful day, evening, and so on, everyone. Thank you again for joining us. We hope to see you next month.